Hey everyone, what's going on? Ash and Rima here from MEOdyssey. Today we are taking just a very brief look at the gameplay and the little bits that came out of the CES keynote yesterday. And we're not going to focus too much on the gameplay stuff because we've seen the PS4 Pro stuff and we've seen the gameplay that came out after that as well. Us personally, we're happy with the direction the gameplay is going, and we don't want to focus too much on that at this point. We are going to focus on the skill trees and the classes and how they work for a little bit, and then we're going to discuss a little bit at the end as well in terms of the marketing and stuff like that, because that's been a point of contention that has come up in the last kind of 12 hours or so. Again, we did very much like the gameplay side of it. It looks pretty, it looks gorgeous as far as we're concerned.
Voice acting's on point as well. Scott Ryder is sassy, and so is Sam. So I like Sam. Sam's pretty cool. Like what we saw from the gameplay is what we've been kind of seeing. It's really pretty. It's really colourful. I was saying the audio-wise, it sounds like Mass Effect. The noises, the sounds of the weapons. In general, it just seems like they're doing what they were promising on doing, and like everything looks really good. We were talking about the music. That was the only thing that we were a little bit, I wouldn't say apprehensive, it's just different. We weren't
concerned about it. It was just different from what we've heard before. I think my comparison was it sounded kind of Destiny-esque, and that's not a bad thing because we both like the music in Destiny. Mm-hmm. But it did sound somewhat Destiny-esque, and I don't know, and I made this clear to Rima before we started, we don't know if this is the music that's going in the game or whether it's just, licensed track and music they just put on the trailer itself, because there's no voiceover. It's just Scott Ryder kind of in-game voice and stuff like that, so it might not be in the game, but it might be as well. But yeah, this sounds very Destiny-esque there as well, which we found kind of cool. So moving on to kind of the main point that everyone was looking forward to, which was looking at the skill trees and looking at how the classes work and all that kind of thing. And very strangely, it does seem like you can change classes pretty much in an instant.
It looks like Ryder's got like this like VR helmet on his head, and he's like scrolling through his computer, and he's like, which one do I want to pick? I don't know, from the Game Informer article, if anyone we did a lot of videos on Game Informer, but from the article they kind of talked about how you would have your different skill trees, and that the skills weren't going to be basically stuck into one skills like we've had before. Like we wouldn't be just a soldier or just an adept. You get to pick specific points from each of the skills and kind of make your own customizable person. Kind of we're talking about more like the way Division does it, where you'd have 3 different skill trees and you'd pick the ones you wanted, and you could make your own unique character. You're not just a soldier. You could be a soldier / adept, or an engineer / infiltrator, or something like that. But yeah, in this it seems like you pause the menu and then you can pick the profile, and all your regular profiles are there. All the regular 6 are they still there, plus the Explorers one, which is new to Mass Effect Andromeda. I know that from the Game Informer's one, but yeah, that's weird.
I think it's one of these things that's just going to take a little bit of adjustment.
It's just and you made a point. They're like actual file folders.
It's like you've got an electronic kind of data file thing on your arm or something. It's just like
he's just stuck an iPad to his face.
Yeah, it's just like, choose this file and this file and this file. I actually found that little essay kind of cool.
It is pretty cool, yeah. It's actually makes it realistic.
I only noticed it on the second run through that I watched just before we started recording as well, so it's kind of interesting. But yeah, it's slightly different from what I thought it was going to be in terms of how to select classes and all things like that. It does seem that you can do it very, very quickly as well.
Yes.
I'm assuming you do have the option to go in and put points how you want, but then you saw one thing's auto add points, and it's done. So
it looks like what happens is you will have your basically the same level of I guess you get your special abilities like you did in Mass Effect 1 to 3, and you can probably quick put them into fast actions, like you used to be able to do map them to special keys and things like that. But it looks like the folders, so I guess this is just perception from playing other games. I guess we both thought what it would look like was you'd have a whole bunch of skills and you would click them like an MMO tree. But it looks like in this, you'll have them all in separate folders, and you'll go individually into the folders, pick the ones you want, and those skill trees will be individual, and how far you choose to spend your points, I think that will customize your character. So basically, you got like 7 skill trees to use, and that makes your entire person. Is what I'm getting. Like, it's confusing. It's gonna take a while to wrap your head around, but that's the way I'm kind of. He's like picking and choosing from these, so you could technically still go completely soldier if you wanted to, in a way.
Which is what I normally do.
Yeah, and you wouldn't have to like follow the random. In my head, I saw it as an MMO tree, and it's not. It's like actually like they're separate, but they could be all mishy-mashy together if you want to. It's very confusing to talk about it as well.
It's only because we got a very brief look at it, and I'm just watching it on silent while I'm kind of speaking about this now, and it looks like it'll take a little bit of getting used to compared to what they did in the previous trilogy, but it doesn't seem. I mean, it kind of like Mass Effect 1, and I think Mass Effect 1, I remember it specifically. You get the little points we just had it like on little bars that go across the screen, stuff like that. They seem to have an element of that in here. It's just a lot smaller and a lot more condensed, which is fine. That's an element there. And you were saying like with the like at the beginning of the game, you can choose what shepherd you have, and you get the thing where you got like the muscles in the little people
the little
kind of thing
man.
on the screen. So they're still there. So
the little nerve men are still there. The little muscle men.
Yeah. So that's all still there. So I like the fact that there's little elements of the previous trilogy kind of still in there, so give it at least that little bit of familiarity in there.
Yeah. What I did point out to you before we recorded was the Adept, Vanguard, and Sentinel ones were all grayed out, like the biotic classes. But then I noticed when it continues on into a minute, you do see that there's a folder for combat, biotics, and tech under rider skills. So like it's unusual. I don't know whether all of them will be open to you when you first start the game, or whether you'll start off as one kind of class and then you merge, or I don't know how it'll work, because it seems like those ones are grayed out in this gameplay, but we don't know how far it is in this game.
No.
But they are all the biotic ones, so
it's going to be interesting.
It'll be nice. I can imagine myself getting very confused the first time I play it, though you never know. It might be very easy. I don't know. It does seem like what you can do is I'm just looking at it. It looks like there's different ways to sort this as well. So you've got your different like classes, and he goes into the skills. The skills are obviously in the tech, combat, and biotics folders, and those folders have different skills in them too. So it looks like there might be different ways to sort out your classes, and you can see your skills that you've picked in like individual folders, and then there's also the class skills as well.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's like a desktop computer.
Yeah.
Stuck to his head.
Yeah. I did notice as well that, and when I was watching it last night, I noticed that was the backpack, the booster backpack on his back is bigger than the one that was shown in the PS4 Pro one.
Maybe he's updated it.
Yeah, and I think maybe that's more of a customization thing, maybe. So that was kind of interesting to see. It's more like a backpack than like the integrated one that was in the PS4 Pro gameplay there as well. So that's pretty much all we had on that particular part, really. Again, we enjoyed the gameplay, and we've kind of seen a few gameplay videos now, so we're happy where the gameplay is going on that particular front. But we did want to very, very briefly talk about kind of the marketing strategy as well, because our main kind of point of comparison is Dragon Age Inquisition, and now a date's been announced, and it's less than 3 months away. You're almost looking at probably around about 10 weeks, just over 10 weeks away.
That's kind of exciting.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That's just off the top of my head as well, and I haven't really slept. So excuse me if I'm wrong. But at this point in Dragon Age Inquisition's kind of marketing kind of plan, they had already been doing like live streams at least once a week for like an hour and showing off like the multiplayer and stuff like that. And yet we've seen basically nothing on the multiplayer with just over 10 weeks left. So my hope is that now they've announced a date, some of this stuff will kind of snowball a little bit more. But that's kind of my only concern at this point. There's really been nothing on the multiplayer side of things when we're now so close to launch.
There hasn't been, genuinely there hasn't been altogether that much in general. Like, we've had the trailers and we've had the gameplay footage from PS4 Pro, and then from like N7Day, and then we had this as well. Like, we've seen gameplay. They've obviously been pre-recorded and we get to see them in their finest form and they get released. But we haven't seen, like, I guess, organic gameplay. Like, when we got to see Inquisition on the live stream, and again, we're taking this to heart that they genuinely played it, which we're assuming they genuinely played it. The game, we got to see the game being played. There was, like, a live reaction to it, and yeah, we got to see a lot more. We got to see some of the characters, some of the interactions, the dialogue, the different, like, landscapes, all that kind of stuff. So by the time, it really hyped up the game. And so I was saying to you, by the time the game was like about a month and a half, 2 months to go, there was a lot of hype for it. And then like the week or two before, I was just like, I remember I was like, I need to play.
Yeah.
I just need to play. We rewatched the streams, we rewatched the trailers. There was loads of trailers before the game came out. And the ramp up was like massive, and the marketing strategy was massive. Like, you couldn't really, if you're following the game in any form,
you couldn't miss it.
It was always just, you couldn't miss it. Whereas for Mass Effect, yes, we've had trailers, and yes, we've had the gameplay that we've seen, but we've not really had like any almost live impromptu reaction to it. It's all been kind of like controlled by Bioware so far. Very little.
I can understand being cautious, and that's fine, because
I can understand that. This is their big baby.
After 5 years of not having a Mass Effect game, we're now like a very short period of time away from having another Mass Effect game, and after what happened with the whole ending of Mass Effect 3 thing, which we've gone on record many times as saying we had no real issue with it. But after that, and then having that pressure to kind of pull off a completely successful game, not everyone's going to be happy with the game. We understand that. But we've seen these gameplay videos, and there's been like 3 in total. This one, the PS4 Pro one, and the other one. And it's been cool to see, but I've seen enough of the single player to know I'm going to like it now.
Yeah, we need to see multiplayer right now.
And that's my only concern, that with such a short time left, we still haven't really seen anything at all on the multiplayer. And I know that Aaron Flynn teased on Twitter about that we would find out more about EA... what's it called again? Access, thank you. EA Access, I forgot that yesterday. But EA Access, and there might be something there. He kind of teased that we'll know more soon, but there's not a lot of time left, so we kind of getting antsy to know. Now I'm getting to the point now where I'm going to be starting to pre-order my games and that soon, so ordering my bits and pieces, like my books and my art books and things like that. So it would be nice to know that if I'm going to get the deluxe edition or the super deluxe edition, which has a lot of multiplayer centered stuff coming with it, I would like to know a bit more about the multiplayer going into it. So, but that's just me. So.
Or maybe they're just, I guess there's one thing that we didn't get to see in Dragon Age was we never got to do a beta or a demo for the multiplayer. So maybe they're just waiting so they can reveal everything.
They did do a lot of streams.
Maybe that's their big master.
They did a lot of streams on the multiplayer though.
Yeah. So that's, I don't know. Maybe they've got a weird master strategy that they're not explaining. Because maybe, I guess the difference between Dragon Age and Mass Effect is Mass Effect has a bigger brand name than Dragon Age did. So maybe they felt that after Dragon Age 2 was, I wouldn't say a letdown, it wasn't as great as it could have been. They felt that they had to really hype up the game, and for the fact that Dragon Age was one of their first titles in Frostbite, it really had a lot riding on it to actually do well. So maybe Dragon Age was marketed so much because they really wanted to show the game off before it came out to get people to play it, whereas Mass Effect, maybe they're like, hey, it's a Mass Effect, people are going to buy it. And even I've noticed this on Twitter, even people who I wouldn't even associate with like gaming are like, hey, Mass Effect's coming out on the 21st of March.
Yeah.
Whew. So maybe they don't even need to worry about it. I don't know what the strategy is, but yeah, we'd like to see the multiplayer soon.
Yeah, I think it's
this is a plea from us.
I think it's kind of got to the point where multiplayer needs to have some attention.
Let's see it.
So
we don't even need to play it yet. Just let us see it. Like
some visuals.
10 minutes, 5 minutes, even 2 minutes.
But we do have the supposed IGN stuff coming up this month. Whenever that may be. I know that's kind of started because they did a very brief unboxing of the RC Nomad today. That was cool, but it was only like 3 minutes long, so it was nothing like massive or gargantuan or anything. But I'm assuming there's going to be more coming from IGN at some point later in the month. Mm-hmm. But that's kind of our only real concern at this point, is the marketing strategy does seem to be a lot different from the Dragon Age one.
It seems
a lot quieter and a lot more guarded. But with a short amount of time left and nothing really been shown on the multiplayer, that's kind of what I think a lot of people want to see next. So
I just don't know, maybe their reaction from the last gameplay wasn't as great as they hoped, and maybe they're having to rework some things. especially things like facial animations, things like that, and maybe that's what they're focusing on, and maybe they just don't want to overexcite people. I don't know.
But I did think it was very cool that Aaron Flynn kind of acknowledged that.
Yeah,
he was
admitted
like, yeah, we're really proud of this, we're fantastic, but we do apologise. There was a bug with the facial animations in this particular build that was recorded for this, so sorry about that. And he came out and said it straight out, and that's why I like the guy. He's very honest. He's very upfront. He doesn't beat around the bush. So I'm kind of very happy about that. So yeah,
props to him.
So Aaron Flynn asked me to let him know what we thought, and that's what we thought. So there you go, Aaron. So there you go. But that's it for that one, really. Sorry, it ran a bit longer. Mini podcast. There you go. But that's it. So thank you very much for listening and for watching. As always, you can subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on all things Mass Effect, and you can help the channel to grow by sharing the video too. We'll see you again very soon.